Good evening and welcome back to Levasseur Outdoors. I'm Steph, and tonight I won't be in the boat and I won't be fishing. In fact, my 21 days for Crownland camping are up, so I made a dedicated trip after work here to move the camper 100 meters to comply with the regulations. So as an avid outdoorsman, I pride myself on being familiar with all the acts and regulations that pertain to me, whether that be the hunting regulation, the trapping regulation, the Off-Road Vehicles Act and its regulations, and so on and so forth. So tonight I thought I would take the opportunity to talk about Crownland camping in Ontario, maybe answer some of the questions that you may have that pertain to it, and hopefully, you'll find this one helpful. So I'm going to start packing and getting the camper ready to move. And as I'm doing that, I'll talk about, specific sections of the acts and the regulations that apply specifically to camping. And like I said, hopefully, you'll find this helpful. So stay tuned. Before I begin, I want you to bear with me because the information I'll be providing is very specific, but I think it will be very useful. The websites used as source material for this video will be linked below, so please refer to the description for more details. Please note, this video applies to residents of Canada only, even though there is some overlap with the regulations for non-residents. Non-residents are required to get a Crownland camping permit. For more information on that, non-residents can refer to Ontario Regulation 326/94. Now, to what you need to know about Crownland camping in Ontario. First things first, you need to know if the land you intend on camping on is actually Crown land. For this, you can refer to the Ontario Crown Land Use Policy Atlas, also known as CLUPA, which is an interactive map found online. Once you agree to the disclaimer, the map appears. Crown land is shown in yellow and private land is shown in gray. There are also other layers you can toggle for additional information. Crownland camping in Ontario is governed by the Public Lands Act and covered under Section 21.1. Subsection 1 says a person is authorized under this section to occupy public lands as prescribed by regulation, whether it was erected or placed by the person or by another person. Subsection 7 is important, but I will get to that a little later. The aforementioned regulation is Ontario Regulation, which are also known as OREGs, 161/17, titled Occupation of Public Lands under Section 21.1 of the Act, which was last updated July 1st, 2023. Section 1 defines a camping unit as a structure or vehicle that may be used for camping purposes or as an outdoor accommodation and includes a tent trailer, recreational vehicle, camper back, and any watercraft equipped for overnight accommodation, but does not include a floating accommodation, which has its own definition. Section 5, probably the most important one in everything I'm going to tell you today, covers the requirements for camping units and includes 3 conditions. 1. The person erects, places, or uses the camping unit solely for non-commercial camping purposes. So you can't be renting your camper to others. 2. The person does not occupy the public lands or any other public lands within 100 meters thereof for more than 21 days in a calendar year. And I'll get back to that shortly. And finally, 3. Public lands that are occupied are not part of a road, trail, parking lot, or boat launch. So let's get back to the 21 days and 100 meters. It says the person does not occupy the public lands, and I add emphasis on or any other public lands within 100 meters thereof for more than 21 days in a calendar year. There was a time where I thought I could spend 21 days in a spot, move at least 100 meters, spend the next 21 days, and then move back, say 120 meters, close to where I was before, but not quite at the same spot. A lot of people think they can do this. I was completely wrong, and the second part of that paragraph makes it clear. To help demonstrate this, I have come up with this little sketch. So here you have just placed your camper on public lands. Now I'm showing the 100-meter radius depicting, quote, any other public lands within 100 meters thereof, unquote. So after 21 days, you relocate your camper a minimum of 100 meters per the regulation. The area including the 100-meter radius you just vacated can no longer be used for the remainder of the calendar year. Here we have the relocated camper and the 100-meter radius shown. After 21 days in that new spot, you relocate your camper a minimum of 100 meters again, and now that area becomes unavailable to you for the remainder of the calendar year, and so on and so forth. Now obviously this scenario applies more to someone who will spend the majority, if not all, of the camping season on Crown land, like I do, which is why I maintain multiple spots. If you only occasionally camp on Crown land and you use a certain spot for a weekend, say 3 days, then technically you have 18 days left that you can use in that same spot at another time. Before you comment, quick note on the maintenance I have performed at the multiple sites I regularly maintain. In accordance with Ontario Regulation 239/13, Section 4, minor maintenance activities such as brushing and clearing do not require a work permit if you are clearing or brushing existing trails or roads, which is what I have been doing for a good part of the last 10 years. Any other scenario where new trails, new areas, or any expansion is occurring would require a work permit from the MNRF before any work proceeds. So you might be wondering, what happens if you don't comply? Here's where we get to Section 21.1, subsection 7 of the Act, which says, a person who occupies public lands under this section shall vacate the lands on or before the earlier of the following dates. 1. The date prescribed by regulation, which we have established is 21 days after you set up your camper. Or 2, the date specified by the minister in a notice given to the person under subsection 8, which says, the minister may at any time and for any reason give a person who occupies public lands under this section notice to vacate the lands. The Ontario Court of Justice website prescribes the fines for contravention of every act in Ontario. Set Fines 1, Schedule 77 covers the Public Lands Act. Failure to vacate lands by the date prescribed in regulation could result in a $500 fine. Failure to vacate lands by the date specified on the notice to vacate could result in a $700 fine. So if you're lucky enough to get a warning from a conservation officer that you have exceeded the 21 days without getting the initial fine, and you fail to vacate per that notice, the fine increases from $500 to $700. Now keep in mind, if you're over the 21 days, you could be fined the $500 without any warning or notice. Let's also keep in mind, there are only a few conservation officers per area, and there is a ton of public land to cover, so they can't see and enforce everything. Regardless, you should try to respect the law and give others the opportunity to use that spot, maybe even more so in high traffic, highly sought after areas. The idea with the 21-day rule is to give the opportunity for anyone to use Crown land. And maybe this applies more to areas near lakes and rivers, regardless of whether you're being told to vacate or not. But with that said, the 21-day rule does apply to all Crown land, regardless of whether or not you're in a hot spot or somewhere very remote. So the regulation says calendar year. So on January 1st, everything resets and all the spots you'd previously used are fair game once again.
Well, that is going to wrap this one up. It's almost 10 p.m. The camper is moved to this new spot. I had help from Ed and I appreciate that. Tomorrow we're going to repeat the process for his setup. But before I end this video, I wanted to remind you that conservation officers have a job to do and they have regulations to enforce. So if you've exceeded the 21 days and you get visited and get asked to move or vacate, just agree, be courteous, and comply. They're only out there doing their jobs, and you know, we need them out there to enforce those regulations. So on that, I'm going to say good night. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you on the next one.